FIU, and I'm studying computer science. Soy postulante de la agrupación, and yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Maroun. I'm a first year at the Miami-Dade Honors College. As they said, I'm trying to begin an ACU group over there for young men and start sort of a ministry there. I'm studying computer science, and yeah, let's get right into the presentation, guys.
So first off, we wanted to say thank you to the ACU because this trip wouldn't have been possible without you guys. The ACU sponsored a part of our trip, and in gratitude, we're here presenting what we learned. And it's an honor to be here and a blessing because with this opportunity of being able to represent the ACU on this trip, it really had a mindset shift and a change in perspective for us because we weren't attending just as normal college students, you know, on a trip enjoying with friends, but we were here trying to bring something back to you guys as well.
All right, so hold up. 1 second. So what is Seek? So Seek is a conference hosted every year by Focus Catholic Group, which is it's a national group that focuses on college life for students and bringing them to the Catholic faith. And they really help when Catholic college students are trying to, you know, find God. And it could be really tough to be in a college setting and having the crazy party life and all the bad experiences from other people, like kind of pushing on you. So they're a really good group that helps us kind of take some relief from all that worldly pressure. So Seek, it's a conference many universities attend. This year we had 17,000 people go, which is crazy numbers. It was hosted in Salt Lake City, Utah, and the main idea is to kind of just give us more insight about our faith and find truth and where it lies. And it's just countless amounts of talks that really give you an insane amount of information, truth, and inspiration to grow your faith and to really find God.
So yeah, we went. This is a picture that we took with our friends when we were walking around the city. It was kind of cold. We were able to wear jackets. Very nice. It actually snowed one day. We got to see snow. So yeah, so our purpose as men, and like the ACU has taught us, we went with this mindset of seeking truth, to grow in faith and to really find what our purpose is in this world, in our career as a man of God, and to grow in community. We had the opportunity to go with 2 schools, with FIU Catholic, which is growing because they just got 2 missionaries from Focus Catholic. And actually on their first week here, they got, just by tabling, they had a table out with a sign, and they got 200 people to sign up for Bible studies in a single day. Wow. In around an hour and a half. So it's amazing how you can see how many young people are thirsty to learn more. And something you don't think about, right? FIU Catholic has existed, but without the missionaries, it was very hard to grow. And we just really thought there weren't Catholic students on campus. But that proved us wrong.
Also, I want to kind of add on to what he just said. So, you know, tabling just for 1 week, they got 200 college students to sign up, which is crazy numbers. And that's why we're kind of so grateful for the ACU, and that's why I'm trying to start something at MDC. Because I do believe that there are many people who want to grow in their faith and to want to know more about God, but it's so difficult to do so if you don't have anyone else doing it. So we kind of needed someone to stand up and just say, look, people might laugh at me, people might think that's weird, but we're going to get it started. And as we can see, the and the FIU group have already grown so much, and I can't wait to see what we can do at Miami-Dade with the help of Nelson and obviously the help of ACU.
Where's Miami-Dade? Where is that?
So it's at the Wolfson campus, the one in downtown. Yeah.
That's where I went.
Yeah.
That's a 93.
So now we're going to go over the most impactful talks. As much as we want to go over all the talks, there was too many, so we're going to talk about the best ones. So actually the very first keynote, so the main speaker was the one that we couldn't stop talking about for the whole trip. And it was this guy called Arthur Brooks. He's a teacher at Harvard University. So as soon as he came on stage and he said that, he presented his name, he said, I'm a teacher at Harvard University, he got everyone's attention, right? Because what is a teacher at Harvard University, right? One of the biggest universities, world-renowned, but also very liberal. And so it was interesting, it was intriguing, because he's here at a Catholic conference in front of 20,000 college students, and he says he works at Harvard, and that he teaches one class, and his class was called the Science to Happiness, if I'm not mistaken. And it was an elective that without fail, ever since he started teaching it, would always be overbooked. People were on the waiting list. People would come assist the class even when they wouldn't sign up for the class, because it's just, with a name like that in a world that we live in, it's a very interesting topic, right? Everyone's looking for happiness and they don't know how. And so he asked us two questions. He started his talk with two questions, and they were, why did God put you on this earth? And then he asked us, what would you die for right now? And he said, like, literally, if you had to die right now, what would you die for? And I remember Maroun and I looked at each other and we were like, couldn't even fill 5 things, you know? It was probably, and he said it too, it was probably Jesus, your family members, your friends, and maybe that's it. And so it put a lot of things into perspective. And he asked us that question because he had a formula on how he saw happiness. And I don't remember exactly how the formula was, but it went something like, you have all the reasons of why you think you want to be happy divided by what truly matters, which is that answer to that question, what would you die for? And the lower you make that denominator, the less you have to, those things that you think are important in your life really matter and weigh on top of you. So it's like, it goes to the root of like materialism. The more we let go of those things, we think we need that car, we need that job, we need everything to be happy. But in reality, it roots to, what are you willing to die for? What really matters in this life? So it was like a slap in the face for us, the first talk. As much as we came here to grow, we didn't expect on the first talk. We thought maybe we would get another talk, but it's like that first talk, and we were like, we're gonna talk about this tonight. This is gonna be discussion tonight. And it led to a lot of good convos during the trip and after the trip, and up till now, it still has me thinking, so.
Yeah, so I also want to add on top of that. One of the biggest things he said that really caught my eye, or the way he went about it, was that he gave a clear process. He kind of gave us, so many people talk so vaguely sometimes, that it's like, they could be really inspirational, but you're really left with nothing. You're left with things to just like think about. But when it came to Arthur Brooks, I loved his talk so much. It gave us so much insight. And one of the biggest things that I took away was, there are 3 key things in life to happiness. The first one is God, finding God, because he also mentioned this. Through history, we can see that as humans, we want to worship a God. We have this inner desire to look for a God and to look for a higher being. So first one, finding God and worshiping God. Second one was purpose. Finding out, and those were the 2 questions that he asked. What would you die for? And why are you here on this earth? He told us, if you can't answer those 2 questions like this, you're not going to know you don't know your purpose yet. You have to keep searching. And then finally, he told us that you need to make memories with the people you love. So something like this, you have to really go out of your way, and you have to make the effort to be around the people that you love, and to be around the people that are gonna add to the purpose in your life. So what he considered making memories was having pleasure with the people that you love. And pleasure oftentimes has such a bad connotation to it, but you take away that bad connotation when you add the people that you love into it. You're sharing an experience. You're bonding with the people you love. And here at Seek, we were able to do that so much.
Before we move on to the next talk, that photo was on the first day when we had found our group. They were really far back in the massive conference center, and the altar was so far. And Maroun looked at me, he goes, dude, do you think we can get to the front? And I was like, nah, dude, let's just stay with our group. He's like, dude, it's the first day, let's go. And I was like, all right, I'm following you. And Maroun walks over. It took us a good 3-5 minutes to get to the front. And he just starts looking. He starts asking people, and they're all like, "No, we're saving this. We're saving this." And I'm like, "Dude, let's just go back. Like, mass about to start." And he's like, "Dude, there's two spots right in the front row." I'm like, "Dude, there's no way. They're definitely saving that." He goes up, he asks, and they're like, "No, you guys can sit here." And so we took that photo in the front. I was just so grateful. I was like, didn't have any faith, and this guy was like, he was there, he was looking for it, and it was amazing. To look back right after mass and just see endless crowd of people. Couldn't even see the end, and just everyone there, 300 priests celebrating the mass. It was beautiful.
Yeah, so really incredible. Again, it's impossible to express the magnitude of this conference in words. You kind of had to be there because I've heard Marco has been on it before, and he was telling me, dude, this thing is massive, and you're not going to realize how massive it is until you're actually there. So you can think it's really big. Until you get there, you're not going to realize. It was crazy. We looked at each other, and just the procession of priests for Mass took about 15 minutes. So imagine how impactful it was for us to just see how many people, how many young guys are looking for a purpose in their life, and how many people really want to live for God. And that kind of leads me into the next talk, which was with Father Mike Schmitz. I'm sure many of you here know him, and I actually we got to meet him. Out of 17,000 people, when we got to the airport, he was the first person we saw. In the airport. It was, yeah, right off. We were walking, we were trying to get off, and then Matias gets a call from one of our friends, and they're like, Father Mike Schmitz is right behind you. We turn around, and he was right there. We were so amazed. I took a picture. I'll show you guys later. It was genuinely amazing. But yeah, so many things by the grace of God that just kind of made this so impactful. So yeah, Father Mike Schmitz, his talk. It was tough to understand him. I'm gonna be honest, but you know, it worked out. It worked out. Super cool guy. Really amazing guy. You can tell he really cares. He asked us all for our names, and he just, you know, he gives off that vibe. You know, he really wants to be there, and he's doing it for a reason. So yeah. The next talk made a lot of people cry. I remember looking in front of me, and Matias and I were sitting next to each other, and we look in front of us, and we see this girl just absolutely sobbing after the talk. And the main idea was Jesus' passion and why it was there, what it kind of does for us. There was this, I'm sure a lot of you know the Shroud of Turin, correct? And then we all know that famous picture of Jesus, and then he has the crown of thorns, and it's just you can't even explain how you feel when you look at it, and when you truly think of what went on. So for about 10 minutes, he just had that picture up there, and he was talking. He was kind of telling us, every time we sin, we're doing what they did to him. What those guards did to him, there's such descriptive detail that he went into that just made everyone so like, what are we doing with our lives? So kind of reminded us, every time we sin, we're doing that to him again. And that kind of led into the next idea of his talk, which was that God is merciful. So, you know, you have the evil that came into the world, and the sin, and you know, all the torture that they cause him. And then he also reminded us that after that there's mercy, and that there's love, and that he wouldn't be there if he wasn't merciful towards us. So yeah, it kind of showed us the bad and then the good, how it comes back into the world after we fall into sin. So just, again, another amazing talk. And here we have Arthur Brooks. That was the Harvard professor. Seriously captivating guy. Amazing speaker. And yeah, these are the two questions that he posed to us. Why did God put you on this earth, and what would you die for right now? Just two questions that we couldn't stop thinking about. And I'm still thinking about today, and I'm sure I'll be thinking about it for a while. But again, really good.
Yeah, so another talk we wanted to go over is Sister Miriam James Highland. And she talked about allowing Jesus to take control in our lives. And she started with reading us the gospel of the young rich man who went to Jesus and said, you know, I follow all your commandments, I do all these things, like, what am I missing? And Jesus looks at him and he says, sell everything and follow me. And in the end, you know, the young man goes away with his head down, sad. And we've heard it a million times before, but the way she went over it again was very touching, because sometimes that young man can be us. And I really correlated with this, right? Because she's like, a lot of us, we grew up Catholic, we go to we're surrounded by Catholic people. We do all the right things, yet we feel like we're missing something. We're missing that purpose. We go to mass, we pray our rosaries, but we still feel like we're missing something. And she told us it's because we still lack Jesus' love because our attachment to material things. And so it made me think, along with back to Arthur Brooks' talk, what would you die for right now? What things are you attached to? Or what goals do you have that really shouldn't have that much value in your life? And it was interesting as a college student to think, because a lot of my goals right now are material things, which I didn't realize until I heard that talk from her. And she said in one moment, imagine when the rich young man went to Jesus, he was telling them all these things. And it says Jesus looked at him. All Jesus did in that moment was he looked at him with love. And she said it might have been something that the young man had never felt in his life. And even then, he couldn't drop everything and follow Jesus. Even then, with Jesus right in front of him, looking him in the eyes, with all the love in the world. And so she was telling us of the danger of being attached to these material things, which leads me into to talk about a challenge that Maroun and I are doing right now called Exodus 90. And shout out to Eric, because he's been trying to push this on us since we were in high school in Soviet every year when he found out about it. And he even made it, he made the softer version, Exodus 40, which was during Lent. And I remember during high school, could never stick to it. Most of the guys, it was like we were in for a week. And so basically the challenge consists of a lot of disciplines, a lot of sacrifices. We give up sweets, we take cold showers, we give up social media, video games, all these things. There's 3 pillars. So it's the asceticism, which are all those disciplines. And it's pretty much dropping everything that takes away your time from what really matters. So you only use your electronics for school, for work, and that's it. And then the other pillar is prayer, which for the challenge, we do a holy hour each day and we have daily readings. And the 4th is fraternity. So it's brotherhood, or the 3rd, sorry. The 3rd is fraternity, brotherhood. And so I did this my first year, freshman year, and it truly changed my life, because we don't realize with good things like music, social media, I don't consider it good anymore, but we could see it as good. Just all these distractions, all these material things take away our time from God. Why? Because they take away our silence. They take away our time to pray. So what I realized when doing this challenge and doing it right now, and we're doing it with 12 other guys in the U Miami group, and what we're all noticing is when we drop these things, like even music, when we drop these things, we have time when we're in our car, when we're going to school. We have time without even thinking about it. We have time to let God come in. God come in, and we have time to pray. We have no excuse now. I wake up in the mornings, I do my reading, I read my Bible, I meditate, and I still have an hour to go before my next class, before everything, and I'm there, and I'm like, wow. How much time have I been wasting, right? Waking up, grabbing my phone. And so this conference, these talks that we had really was a wake-up call to us, and we saw Exodus 90 as a perfect opportunity to put those into play. Giving up all these things, giving up time for God. And yeah, you want to say something else about Exodus 90?
Yeah, the other day I was on the metro and I was reading the reflection I saw Ray, just for proof. He can vouch for me. But yeah, really an amazing challenge, and gives us so much time. I've been able to pray so much more, read so much more. focus on what really matters. My God, my studies, my work, and yeah, focus. So then we want to bring you guys to a talk by Edward Shree, which the main idea of his talk was kind of to highlight 4 pillars that we need to live a life of faith. So quickly, I'm just going to go over a couple of them. The first one, the apostles' teachings, which is, mainly the Bible. We need to read scripture. We need to have a strong foundation and to have just kind of like a guideline to follow. I've heard so many people who aren't even Catholic or who aren't even Christian in the first place and say, I read the Bible just so I can have a guideline in my life. And they say every person should read the Bible because it teaches you so many lessons that you would never expect in the first place. It's such a good book that, imagine, if a Catholic person already, if a person who's not Catholic already loves, imagine how much more it can add to our lives. And then he went on to talk about fellowship, which is to surround yourself with the friends who live to you closer to God, which is, again, what we're doing right here. We're we're growing together. That's what God wants us to do. God didn't leave us alone. God brought us here to this earth to kind of break bread with our brothers and grow and have people who hold us accountable, which is one of the pillars of Exodus 90. We have brotherhood. We have people to tell you, look, you're doing this wrong and you need to fix it right now because you're doing this for a reason. You're here for a reason. You need to become better. You want to go over the next two?
You went the first two?
Yeah.
And the third was the breaking of the bread. He went over the importance of the Eucharist and how we need to spend time in adoration, right? Not just going to Sunday Mass, also having a mindset shift that Mass isn't a secondary thing. It should be our first priority. And instead of having Mass be part of our schedule and kind of being that secondary thing where we fit into our Sundays or we fit into our week, we should have our week fit around our Sundays, right? So our week, our offerings, our prayer, our fellowship should be leading up to that Sunday. And if you want to go further, he said even daily Mass, right? Because if you're going to daily Mass, you're no longer waiting for that Sunday. Obviously, Sunday's the day of the Lord. But if you have that daily Mass, then your daily life becomes surrounded around that, right? And that's kind of what we're learning in Exodus 2, right? We have to pray a holy hour. And so with the guys, we always talk about how it's much easier and impactful when we make holy hour a priority in our day. When we go to the Blessed Sacrament and when we stay there, it's a game changer in how we study and how we interact. Even when we're giving up all these sacrifices, even when we're doing something that is hard and we are praying more, when we make our day around the holy hour, when that's our priority, what's number one on the list, it's life-changing. And then the fourth is life of daily prayer. So I kind of went into it there. When you're making that around your day instead of having it like, oh, I'm going to put in the little nooks. Maybe I have a break during work. It's like, no. That is your number one priority and work is secondary or whatever it may be. So one of the most impactful and surprising talks was about feminism. And I saw on the schedule, I saw this title, and I was like, I have to go to this talk. Because I want to see what they say, right? Because when we have these iffy topics, and it's even iffy in the church because people have all these different opinions. Usually when we have these talks around these touchy subjects, they tend to go very light, very like fluffy. They say a lot, but it doesn't have any substance. It's not deep. They don't want to offend anybody. But I don't remember the name of the speaker right now, but she had no fear. She told all the dark truths, And it was because she was in it before. And when she left it, she was like, I have to look into the history of this, of what this is, what this leads. And so it's interesting because she described it as something so dark. So dark. She described feminism as the shadow church. That's how she defined it. And she said they have everything. They have their theology. It's obviously distorted theology. They have their sacraments. It's obviously distorted sacraments. And she talked. She said, feminism mirrors church teachings in a twisted way. And their black sacrament is abortion. And she went into the origins and how it goes back to all the way to the Industrial Revolution. It all started when these women activists, they had the movement for women to work and women to vote, which were inherently good things. But the feminist movement, they latched onto those women activists in order to push their agenda and start a resentment towards the family. And so she said one of the top feminists at the time was writing a book, and she would come out on the papers and everything. And she started describing the home. So she was a mother, and she started describing her home like a imprisoned concentration camp. And it all started like this, these little things to get women thinking of like, oh yeah, we're not allowed to vote, we're fighting for this, but at the same time to latch onto that and destroy the family, right? So that's what she was going to at the end of all of this. She was like, feminism is their main goal is to destroy the family. And cultural consequences. She said feminism and Catholicism are fundamentally opposed. So she came to an ultimatum when she was in this movement of feminism, and she just realized that there is no balance, right? Because people try to find the balance. They're like, okay, there's good in feminism. And she's like, no, there is absolutely no balance. Because the goal of feminism is the complete opposite of what the Catholic Church is trying to do. So by no exception can we let anything from this shadow church enter the Catholic Church or be accepting to it in any way. And she started talking about the stats, and she said 244 million abortions globally in just 2024. And how feminism leads to a society that prioritizes power, control, and pets over children. I wasn't quick enough to write the stats when she was talking about them, but it was something like, I don't remember if it was here in the US, I think it was US or Canada, that people had more pets than children. I know in Spain, I have a friend who studies in La Universidad de Navarra, and he said they were taking a class and the professor had stats that they took, like population stats. And the average amount of kids the families have over there is 0.75. So less than one kid. And we have a cousin over there, he says, yeah, people have more, they rather have a dog than a child. So it is scary, it's very worrying, but it was also inspirational. She told us that the way we can fight this is through media, actually. So through movies, she said the Catholics need to focus more on making better movies, because all the movies and shows we have are just 90% of it is garbage or has garbage implemented in it. So she said we need to start writing more books, more movies, and media. And like, I saw it in a way that she said we have to replace what people have now, right? Because it's not going anywhere. The college students, our attention span is getting smaller and smaller thanks to social media. So I think she had a good point because I've never heard it from that angle, right? It's always kind of like no, but we've never heard of what can we do. So that talk was very powerful, very blunt, straightforward, and interesting, because as much as I've heard how feminism is bad and affects it, I didn't know it was this bad.
I want to go a little bit deeper into the family aspect of things. I'm sure many of you here have families. And what I think about feminism, or one of the big things about feminism, is that, like he said, it destroys the family. And you end up realizing that when you the second you like the second you take away the home as a safe place for a child, and the second you take away the home as a place for your child to learn the good things and for your child to become the man, especially boys, to become the men they're meant to be, is the second that society just falls apart. It'll crumble, because it's always been known you're gonna have those kids outside that are gonna pollute your child's brain. You know, obviously there's gonna be kids who didn't have parents, or kids who just, you know, strayed away, maybe ran away from home. Kids who are bad influences. When you take away the mother, the true role of a mother, and even the true role of a father, because feminism destroys the role of a father as well. It kind of degrades it. When you take that away, it becomes difficult for a kid to learn what's truly right. And we see it every day now. I see so many kids saying stuff I didn't even know, I had no idea about, and they're in like second grade. There are multiple videos of kids online. They're like less than 5 years old and they're already vaping. And I see that stuff and it's like my heart breaks. I can't imagine having my child doing something like that. And I kind of really want to emphasize this, because it is what's going to build our population. It's what's going to build our population as Catholics and as people who want to live right, people who want to make society truly good. And I just wanted to really share how, like, go deeper into the idea of how feminism really breaks a family. And it's just horrible to even think about. Every time I think about it, it's just a feeling of disgust, and thinking about everything that these kids are hearing every day outside of their homes and coming back into their homes. If their parents aren't telling them anything, then what's the point? Like, they don't think it's wrong. They think it's okay. They think that's what life is. They think their parents just don't know what it is, or their parents don't care. So yeah, those are just a couple of thoughts. And finally, we want to go into a little bit of a story time. So here's kind of like the funny side of what happened, or well, not so funny at the time. So unfortunately, on the third night, so we were rooming together, and then we had a third roommate, right? So our third roommate ends up going to seek, had no idea he had the flu, right? He had caught it from his grandfather. And so he went there. We were in the same room for like 2 days. On the second day, all of a sudden, he's just like dead in bed. He's like, he can't move, he can't talk. We're all trying to help him. And we're like, okay, like, this is fine. We're fine so far. Matias had just gotten over the flu a couple weeks ago as well, so he kind of had the antibodies. But then on the third night, I was literally in the talk, like asleep. I was like this. I had a nun next to me. She could hear me coughing like every 5 seconds, and she handed me a cough drop. But it was really it was just really difficult, because I didn't want to believe that I was getting sick, even though we kind of knew what was going on. I was like, no, God has me. It's okay. Like, nothing's happening. But yeah, I did end up getting sick that night. By the time I got home, I was just exhausted. And then, yeah. So I ended up in the emergency room, because the next day when I woke up, that was the day it was snowing. It was my first time seeing snow, and I woke up with a flu. I was really mad about that. But it'll happen again. It's okay. So that day I vomited 7 times, and it got so bad to the point where I was vomiting nothing. I was just like, I was like gagging, and I was like expecting something to come out, but like it was just like nothing. It was horrible. It was generally like one of like the worst pains of my life. So yeah, I ended up going to the emergency room that day. They told me, oh, okay, you'll be fine. Just take this medicine, like, you'll be okay. I went back home. I kept vomiting, and I was just so mad, because I kind of expected something more at the emergency room, and they really just, like, told me, oh, you're okay, don't worry about it. I get home, I vomit more, and then at night, I tried to drink a little bit of water because I couldn't eat anything all day. Because I was just feeling so bad, so sick, I couldn't have anything. I wake up, I go downstairs, I get my water bottle, I fill it up with like about this much of water. Within 20 seconds of drinking that, I just feel it going up. I tell my friends, I was like, where's the bathroom? I need, like, I'm vomiting. And like, they were like, right there. So I go, it was like, I couldn't have anything. So I go again to the emergency room. This is me right here. You know, that's our friend Lucas Casares. I'm right there. I was not feeling well. And yeah, so you guys might think.
It was also like 1 a.m.
Oh, yeah. I left at like 2 a.m. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is not just because I got sick and I want everyone to laugh. It's because I want to highlight the importance of brotherhood again. So over here, Matias, he helped me out so much. We have this other friend who let me stay in his hotel room when we couldn't stay in ours anymore because it was the last day and we had to move out. He was staying an extra day. So all our friends were going around the city, right, doing all these fun stuff. They were going to this high school from a movie called High School Musical. Not sure if you guys know what it is. It was over there, and they were all going to visit it. They were like, "Oh my gosh, I get it!" And I was, yeah, they were looking at the basilica. They were just going around having fun, and Matias and a couple of other friends just were like, we can't go and do this while our friend is literally in bed, like nearly dying. So they walked around so much, trying to find medicine, trying to find food, trying to find stuff that I can eat, hoping something would happen.
So we were in Salt Lake City, which is mostly made up of Mormons. So on Sundays, everything's closed, everything. So there was a Walgreens open, but it was like a 45-minute walk. So I walked over, and the emergency room the night before, they had prescribed him a medicine, but the pharmacy was closed. So they had the over-the-counter medicine, so I got him what I could. But yeah, it was a whole mission. I felt bad because even though I was sacrificing, it was like I didn't get him anything till like 4 p.m. that day because of how long everything took to get Ubers and like all these things. So it was a mission. But one of the things I wanted to say that I remember, so the last 2 days Maroun was sick. I just remember calling him, and it was snowing. You know, everyone's having the time of their life, and he was talking to me. I was getting him food, and I was like, dude, this sucks, bro. Like, this is terrible. Like, how could this happen? And then Maroun just super chill. He can't even, breathe. And he's just like, no, dude, it's fine. It's God's plan. Everything happens for a reason. I was like, how are you saying that right now? So I just want to highlight this guy's faith. He's helped me grow a lot. We got really close because of this trip, because of other things. And, yeah, just one more time, highlight brotherhood, something the ACU has taught us. I know if you guys look around this room, you can look at more than 5 guys that you guys call brothers, and that's amazing in life. And just thank you guys for passing that on to me ever since Estoril, since high school, now in the ACU College chapter. It's something that's stuck with me. I've seen the importance of it. And without these brothers that I found along the way, I wouldn't be who I am today, and I wouldn't be going in the direction that I am. And I always say this one verse, which is, as iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. And I know all of you guys have felt that in your life, and if you haven't heard it in a while, if you have forgotten it, hold on to it. You guys are still young. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys. It was an honor. This couldn't have happened without all of you guys, so thank you so much.
Yeah.
Questions.
Yeah, questions.
It's not a question, actually. No, I don't need the microphone. I don't need the microphone. Why not? Listen, guys. Maroun used to live 3 doors down from me. Okay?
He's going to expose everything I did as a child now.
Listen, I know him and his siblings. They're great kids. I want you to take care of them and help them get through this and grow. Thank you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you for not telling them everything I did. But so before the questions, really quick, we thought it'd be nice to show a couple of pictures because we've said all of this, but we think it's also good for us to kind of show what happened. So if you guys don't mind, can we show a couple of pictures? Yeah. All right.
Airplay your phone.
Yeah, so on the last day, I was still like feeling pretty bad in the morning, but yeah, like I said, they helped me. Super dehydrated. They didn't even give me an IV in the emergency room. I don't know why I was there in the first place. They didn't really help that much, but they didn't give me an IV, so I just felt super dehydrated. As the day went on, thank God, I was able to kind of eat a little bit of like some crackers and drink water. They got me liquid IV. That's the thing I feel like kind of saved me was the liquid IV. Yeah, so I ended up being fine. It was like a 4.5 hour plane ride, but the main thing was getting on the plane in the first place. So like an hour before, I was like, I got this, and then it kind of just worked out. Yeah.
Did you guys go to the lake at all? Something?
No, so we wanted to go, and we also wanted to go visit Park City, but that was.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah, we were going around, and it was just so nice. Like we looked at it and was like, that's a green screen. That's not something real. Like in Miami, like all we have is like the hill and tropical park. That's like our mountain. But yeah, over here we're just looking at everything. All right. Yeah. So that's me with Father Mike Schmitz. I'm taller than him. That's like it's like a flex, but great guy. Like I said, really charismatic guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to, this is kind of a random thought, but it was brought, I think it's interesting, I hope that you find it interesting. And it's brought on by your statement of that lady that said that abortion is the sacrament of the shadow church.
Yes.
A few months ago, I read something that struck me, made me realize how blessed we are to live in the West. And it's this, that 80% of the world's population doesn't get to 65. So I'm already 10 years over that, okay? But 80% of the world's population doesn't get to age 65. I guarantee you that number, I'm going to look into it, doesn't have abortion in it. So when you put in this sacrament of the feminism, and you add abortion to what's happening to the average life of humanity, which is God's great creation, I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually going down. The average life of humanity once you add, this abortion. Yeah, that's just a thought.
Yeah, and just I guess like another thought about the calling it the Black Sacrament. When we have satanic churches, or like I was kind of watching this interview. It was mainly my mom, but she was showing me this guy talking about it. She was saying, in certain roles in the satanic churches, you have to like the sacrament to become that role is to commit a live abort, like to kill a live baby. It's like it destroy. I don't know how people can do it. But abortion is just kind of normalizing that to a certain level and bringing it into the world. Like, oh no, you're being able to live out your womanly rights, and just kind of wanted to go off into that.
I have two quick questions. You were in Salt Lake City, which is the Vatican version for the Mormons. Was there any, could you feel the presence of 17,000 young Catholic young men and women in a very Mormon place? Was that felt? Was there a presence that you guys could feel?
I'm gonna talk.
And my second question is, would you recommend the ACU to send some more young men to the Sikh conference in the coming years?
Yeah, so I would say definitely you do feel the presence of the Catholics there. Like we said, so many people, it's kind of like when they do these conferences, it's kind of like college students take over the city kind of thing. So like everyone you're seeing walking around, they have like their badge on. So everyone's part of Sikh, everyone's Catholic. It's super cool. It's eye-opening to see so many young people around the world on fire. It's like inspiring. It helps you to like stay in your faith and be like, damn, I'm not alone in this. Oh yeah. So there's Eric. We actually took this photo so we could show it to you guys. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
Do you recommend that the ACU continue to sponsor young men to go to Sikh?
Oh, definitely recommend it. It's been, I would say, a very pivotal moment in my life, and I would love to see more ACU guys there. I think it would be really sick to, if we had a whole group of ACU guys go, and even to have, instead of like a school flag, an ACU flag, you know, and we have a group of ACU guys. That would be a really cool experience. And
Well,
then
thank you very much. It's already 9:45. We can have more questions, but don't forget that we have a transmission, so we need to cut the transmission at a certain time. So if you have any further questions, you can still ask them. However, I'd just like to make a comment. We, like in my case, at least for sure, I have grandchildren. And when we have a grandchildren that is a special one, not necessarily because of the good behavior, sometimes it's because of the bad behavior, we tend to say, she's 2 going into 15 or something like that, right? Well, these 2 kids, when they're being just 20, but they can back being 30 plus. They mature significantly from the standpoint of the faith. They realize through the experience of having to spend a night at the hospital what parents go through. And I tell you that if they still feel comfortable to tell us, send more over there, we did something great. So thank you. Good night, everyone.
Definitely amazing. One last video. Just kind of funny video we made. It's kind of slow. Oh.
put the picture with Eric Vera.
Oh yeah.
I mean Eric Lashes.